this show. There we go, I think. Yes, now we're good. Now we're good. Okay, thank you. Okay. The trade. I hear something happening in there. Okay, no, this one. All right. I'm not trying to. Wow, that was really nice. I'm not trying to torture you or tease you by showing the overture to the last Noir City Festival we did in San Francisco. But the reason I'm showing these, and I will show a few more during the course of the festival, is A, I love the work of Serena Bramble, who does these films for us. And one of the reasons the work she does with us is so significant is because you know, people come up to me several times already at this festival and they say, what can I do? You know, how can I contribute? I really believe in the cause and I love all this stuff, but what can I do? Well, that's what Serena contributed and continues to contribute every year. And honestly, I think one of the biggest contributions people can make is understanding how these fantastic films that we love from another era can inspire work today. And we encourage that. And we produce a quarterly magazine, an e-magazine. So if that doesn't testify to how we are taking tradition into a new age, nothing does. We have thousands of subscribers all over the world. If you join the Film Noir Foundation for a minimum contribution of $20, you get a year's subscription to this magazine with some of the best film writing in the world. There are examples of it out on the table out there. I hope you have met the fabulous Darl Sparks, who works our merchandise and information table out in the lobby. She is fantastic. Darl also writes our grants that we submit to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association and other entities that provide us with some funding to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. Because yes, I do believe that all this noir stuff from the 40s has extended into later generations. Case in point, Blue Velvet by David Lynch. Absolutely a film noir that I will be presenting at a midnight show at Noir City, Detroit in September, our first time in Detroit, and I think the reissuing of Blue Velvet is a perfect film to include on that program. That festival was all about noir films in which the protagonists are artists, and the torture of being an artist in a cruel and indifferent world makes for some pretty good noir. Of course, it leads to artists making very bad decisions a lot of the time. But a couple of those films I think we're actually showing here. Scarlet Street, definitely, that we'll be showing tomorrow, is one of those films. But anyway, I love what Serena does, and I hope you do too, and look forward to seeing more of it during the week. Okay, so now we've been through the early stages of the noir movement in Hollywood, and now we're going to get to it. 1944 was the pivotal year in Hollywood. The black tide of noir started rising. In 1944, Paramount made Double Indemnity, RKO made Murder My Sweet, and over at Universal, they made this picture, Phantom Lady, based on a novel by Cornell Woolrich, who is probably the preeminent writer of what we might call noir fiction. If you're innocent, but fate is going to kick your ass anyway, that is pretty much the world of Cornell Woolrich. What makes this film so special for me is not only that it is directed by Robert Siodmak, who I consider to be the finest director of noir ever. Siodmak was, of course, a German emigre. He studied at UFA Studios in Berlin and was lucky enough to get out before the Nazis commandeered the country, and unfortunately UFA right along with it. But Siodmak made his way to the United States, and just like I've expressed about several other filmmakers so far, he worked in the B trenches. He worked at Paramount like Anthony Mann did, and he was sort of taken out of the trenches by one of only 3 female producers that worked in Hollywood at this time. The woman's name is Joan Harrison, And to this day, she still does not get her due as one of the most influential figures in the film noir movement. She was Alfred Hitchcock's secretary back in England. She was hired when she was quite young. She became a script supervisor and later a co-screenwriter on a number of Alfred Hitchcock's movies. When she came to the United States with the Hitchcock family, she was actually on the ship's manifest as Joan Hitchcock. That's how close that whole setup was. So close, in fact, that at a certain point, Hitchcock very wisely said, "Joni, I think it's time for you to go out on your own because people will start to talk." And she did, and was hugely successful at it. She was, in my estimation, the most successful woman producer, and it's a shame that you have to clarify it that way, because I do think she was probably one of the best producers of film noir in Hollywood. This was her first film on her own. She handpicked Siadmak to direct the picture. She purchased the property, the Cornell Woolrich novel that this is based on, and for all intents and purposes, as much as Siadmak is the genius behind the way this film looks and feels, this is Joan Harrison's film, to the point where when James Agee, the preeminent film critic in America, reviewed this film in The Nation originally, the only time I have ever seen James Agee refer to the producer of the film as Harrison's camera angles, Harrison's sound design, all of this stuff he credited to Joan Harrison because he was very aware of the influence that she had had on Hitchcock films from The 39 Steps up through Rebecca and Foreign Correspondent and other films that she had worked on. She's an amazing story, and I could go on for hours, but I wrote probably the most extensive essay and profile of Joan Harrison that's been done to date. Was in our Noir City magazine and is actually available here in our new annual, the Noir City Annual number 8, a piece that I'm very, very proud of, and I'm happy to say that there's now a biography in the works. I'm not writing it, but a very adept woman, professor, is writing this, finally, a book on Joan Harrison. So this movie is the first time that an A picture was really, really successful at the box office with the absolute quintessential look and feel of film noir. Now, I've got my fingers crossed because Universal, our good friends at Universal, who are responsible for that spectacular print of Dr. Broadway, are also providing us with this print of Phantom Lady. But I have to tell you, I've seen a good one and I've seen a so-so one. And I'm hoping that this is the really good one. The film carries the day either way, but if it's not the good one, I think we need to campaign for a restoration of this film because it certainly deserves it. So I'm glad you've come out tonight. Stick around for the second half of the double bill, which was actually made before Phantom Lady. And if you see both of them, I think you'll realize that Robert Siadmak was very inspired by the work of Val Lewton in The Seventh Victim. So enjoy Phantom Lady.